Nikola Jokic should not make sense. He is a center, yet in the 2025-26 season, he averaged 27.7 points, 12.9 rebounds, and 10.7 assists, while shooting 56.9% from the field, 37.9% from three, and 83.1% at the line. That made him the first player in NBA history to lead the league in both assists per game and rebounds per game. That is where his skill set turns weird. Bigs are supposed to finish plays. Jokic scripts them. Denver does not just run through him, it bends around him. He throws skip passes like a point guard, manipulates help defenders without rushing, and starts fast breaks off his own rebounds. He does not win with speed or vertical pop. He wins with timing angles and decisions made half a second before everyone else. A 7-footer leading the sport in playmaking is already strange. Doing it while remaining an elite scorer makes him almost positionless. Victor Wembanyama looks like a center designed in a lab, then handed the skills of a wing. He is listed at 7'4", yet in 2025-26, he averaged 25.0 points, 11.5 rebounds, 3.1 assists, and a league-leading 197 blocks. That is the obvious weird part. The stranger part is how he gets there. Wembanyama does not just protect the rim. He drifts to the perimeter attacks off the dribble, pulls up from three, and releases the ball so high defenders barely bother contesting. On defense, he breaks spacing by himself. Guards see him at the nail bigs, see him waiting at the rim, and both start second-guessing shots. Most giants pick one identity. He does not. He can be a shot-blocking anchor, a weak-side eraser, and a face-up scorer in the same stretch. That is why his game feels less like a position and more like a glitch. Giannis Antetokounmpo is built like a center, listed at 6'11" and 243 pounds. But this season, his game still functions like a full-court force of nature. In 2025-26, he averaged 27.6 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 5.4 assists per game. That stat line is weird enough. The way he creates it is even stranger. Giannis is not a traditional big and not a normal forward. He grabs rebounds, starts the break himself, covers half the floor in 2 strides, and turns transition into damage before the defense can even load up. In the half-court, he bends schemes without elite shooting because the pressure comes from speed reach and constant rim attacks. On defense, the weirdness keeps going. He has the size to protect the paint, the feet to switch, and the resume of a former Defensive Player of the Year with 5 all-defensive team selections. He does not fit one position. He stretches all of them. Jalen Brunson does not look like the blueprint for a top-tier offensive star. He is listed at 6'2" and 190 pounds, yet in 2025-26, he averaged 26.0 points and 6.8 assists per game. Brunson does not have a lightning first step. He does not have giant length. He does not overwhelm people with vertical pop. He breaks defenses with hesitations, pivots angles, and ridiculous balance. In pick and roll, he does not need elite burst to create an edge. He just gets a defender half a step offline, and the possession is already his. The weirder part is that everyone knows what he wants to do, and it still works. Brunson is proof that craft footwork and control can be more dangerous than raw athletic gifts. Chet Holmgren is 7'1", 208 pounds, and still looks like he was built for the perimeter. In 2025-26, he averaged 17.1 points, 8.9 rebounds, and 1.7 assists, while finishing just behind Victor Wembanyama in blocks at roughly 1.8 per game. That is where the skill set gets weird. Most thin bigs either stretch the floor or protect the rim. Holmgren does both. He spaces to the arc attacks, closeouts, and still functions as Oklahoma City's backline eraser. He is not overpowering people with bulk. He wins with timing reach and body control. The stranger part is how natural it looks. He can play like a modern spacer on one possession, then rotate over and shut down the paint on the next. Holmgren gives you both in the same body. Amen Thompson is 6'7", 200 pounds, listed as a guard forward, and this season he averaged 18.3 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 5.3 assists per game. That profile already feels off. Players with that frame usually finish plays. Thompson creates them and cleans them up. He can grab a defensive rebound like a forward, push the break like a lead guard, and finish above the rim like a wing built for open court chaos. The strangest part is that his jumper still is not the center of his game, yet defenses still get stressed by him because the pressure comes from burst length and playmaking. He is not a pure point guard, not a traditional slasher, and not a normal connector. Thompson is basically transition pressure turned into a person, and that is what makes him one of the weirdest skill sets in the league this season. If you like this kind of breakdown, subscribe. Bam Adebayo is a 6'9", 255-pound big, but his skill set feels like three positions forced into one body. In 2025 to 26, he averaged 20.1 points, 10.0 rebounds, and 3.2 assists per game. Those numbers are not just solid, they are weird in a very modern way. Bam can play like a center when he protects the rim and clears the glass, but he can also switch onto the perimeter like a wing and keep offense moving like a passing forward. The strangest part is that he does not dominate in a traditional big man way. He is not a 7-footer parked at the basket. Miami uses him as a schematic hinge, someone who can anchor the defense, survive in space, and still connect possessions offensively. Most bigs force teams to choose one primary job for them. Bam makes that choice feel unnecessary. Alperen Sengun is 6'11", 243 pounds, and somehow plays like a point forward trapped in a center's body. In 2025 to 26, he averaged 20.4 points, 8.9 rebounds, and 6.2 assists per game. For a big, that profile is already strange. The weirder part is how he gets there. Sengun does not just catch and finish. He reads the defense from the post, manipulates help fires, kickouts, then comes right back with old-school footwork and soft touch around the rim. He has the fakes, spins, and interior rhythm of a throwback center, but the passing feel and offensive control of a modern hub. He became the first player in league history to record at least 3,000 points, 1,500 rebounds, and 700 assists in under 6,000 minutes through his first 3 seasons. That is not a normal center development path. It is a hybrid archetype that barely fits a label. Draymond Green is 6'6", 230 pounds, and only averaged 8.4 points in 2025 to 26. He still put up 5.5 rebounds and 5.5 assists per game, meaning an undersized forward was functioning as both a rebounder and a real offensive organizer. Draymond is not a traditional scorer, not a point guard, and not a true center. Yet Golden State still uses him like the connective tissue for everything. On defense, he owns a 9-time All-Defensive resume and a Defensive Player of the Year award. On offense, he screens short rolls, reads the help, and throws passes most bigs never even see. That is the weird part. He does not dominate with size or scoring volume. He dominates by seeing the game earlier than everyone else on the floor. Dyson Daniels is 6'7", 199 pounds, and this season he is averaging 11.9 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 5.9 assists. That line already looks strange for a guard. The weirder part is where the value really shows up. Daniels is sitting near the top of the league in total steals, and among the leaders in deflections, which means his game is not just big for a guard. It is disruptive in a way usually reserved for veteran specialists or backline anchors. Yet offensively, he still handles passes and keeps possessions moving like an oversized connector. That is the odd blend. He defends like a chaos wing, rebounds like a forward, and organizes offense without looking like a normal lead guard. Most players with his frame become roll wings. Most players with his passing touch are smaller guards. Daniels lives in the overlap, and that overlap is why his skill set feels uncharted. Jose Alvarado is just 6'0", 179 pounds, and in 2025 to 26, he is averaging 7.4 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 3.4 assists per game. On paper, that does not look like one of the weirdest skill sets in the league. But Alvarado's game has never really lived on paper. It lives in disruption. He does not break games with size or raw athleticism. He breaks them with timing angles and a constant feel for when the ball handler stops paying attention. The Grand Theft Alvarado steals from behind are basically a signature now. That kind of trick usually does not last in the NBA yet. For him, it became a real identity. The stranger part is that an undrafted, undersized guard can still swing possessions just through pressure activity and perfectly timed steals. He does not fit the normal point guard mold, but he creates the kind of chaos every team wants. Kristaps Porzingis is 7'2", 240 pounds, and in 2025 to 26, he averaged 16.7 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game. On paper, that sounds like a scoring big. The weird part is the shape of the scoring. Porzingis does not live only near the basket like most players his size. He spaces to the arc pops into 3 shoots over contests and still provides real rim protection on the other end. He became the fastest player in league history to reach 500 made threes and 500 blocks, doing it in just 247 games. That is still an unnatural combination. Most players his size protect the paint, but do not warp spacing like that. Most stretch shooters do not change how teams attack the rim. Porzingis does both. He bends the floor like a wing on offense, then bends shot selection like a center on defense. That is why the unicorn label never really disappeared. This season is not just full of great players. It is full of players making positions feel outdated. And the strangest part is that this no longer feels rare. It feels like the beginning of something much bigger.